Yeah, we're excited to go represent UCLA, a great university, and all our alums and all the just the fans that are coming here to support us and watching us from afar as well. So we're excited.
Question for Matthew and Zach. Looking at Hawaii, what do you feel is the biggest challenge that they pose to you all?
I go first. I think the number one thing is the energy they bring, whether it's with their fans that they bring out or just on the court. Like, they play at a really high energy and at a high level. So it's a good team, and it's going to be hard to match their energy. But yeah, I would say that's one of the biggest difference.
Yeah, and Tread being an offensive setter too, giving them 5 options to run down the court makes it pretty tough to block and play defense against. But we also have an offensive setter that can dump at times, so I think that we can match up pretty well against them.
Coach, hitting on the setter battle really quick, looking at Andrew and Tread, both amazing setters. What do you think that they do so well on the court to put their teams in situations to be successful offensively?
They just command their team and they lead on the court, and they both have good serves. They both block well. I think just from how they control their team in a side out system, I think it's really good, both of them.
And then looking at Hawaii's match against Penn State was able to contain the Hawaii pins. Did you see anything that Penn State was able to do that you all may be able to replicate so the pin hitters don't go off on you?
We got a pretty good idea of our game plan. We've gone over it a few times. I think we know them pretty well, at least what we want to do and try to execute. So, yeah, Penn State played hard. They played well and they served tough and got Hawaii out of system a lot. And yeah, I think that's just a goal for every team. Is really good win that serve pass battle.
Matthew, for you, looking at Hawaii, they got some bombers out there. What do you have to do on the back row to be successful tomorrow?
I mean, we saw it a little bit yesterday with Penn State, and throughout our season, we know that we just have to play scrappy on defense. We got to get balls up that we usually don't get up, and they got some pretty good pin hitters, pretty good middles. They hit the big pretty hard, and so on a defensive standpoint, we need to make some good plays, some big plays. And then serve receive wise, we just got to get out of it pretty quickly. Communication is key on serve receive, and so I know Kirchi's doing a great job handling that. So,
Zach, I want to ask you, I remember last year Coach Spera at a news conference was talking about you, and he was just praising how much this guy could be a star anywhere. And he's not necessarily getting all the playing time, but he is so dynamic. And this year, you're getting the playing time. What has this year meant for you, just being able to be on the court more and really showing what you can do?
It's awesome, taking those experiences that I learned from guys like Alex Knight and Ethan Champlin and even Coop helped me a lot last year. Just taking those experiences and being able to use them in game, it's awesome. It feels great being out there with my guys and some of those guys that have already proven themselves, those multi-time All-Americans, and getting out there and showing that I can do some of those similar things.
And then, we kind of live in the transfer era. Obviously, every player has to make the decision that's best for them. But some players, if they don't get starting time, they're looking at the next team. What was it about UCLA that was like, no, I'm staying here?
I just think the people, the coaching, the connections that you get from it, there's no place like it. And I think that, not always getting it the way you want it is not, necessarily a bad thing. Working for it can, turn you into a better person. Yeah, it was some great experiences.
Question for everyone on the podium. One of the things about volleyball, you look at the box score, it's great, but there's a lot of numbers and stats that aren't included in there. So what is something that you feel your team does well that isn't reflected on the box score?
I think something recently we've really been talking about is just staying together after every point, bringing it in, not going out on our own ways and trying to win the game by ourselves, making the hero play. And I think that's helped us tremendously, just being able to move on point to point and doing that together as a team.
yeah, part of that is just like, if we lose a point, it's the eye contact when we bring it in together. And so our eye contact, our positivity and negativity on the court, just eliminating all those negative thoughts, those negative emotions. And honestly, in volleyball, those are the things that separate you from other teams, is how you could carry your emotions throughout the whole game when it's down and when it's up.
Yeah, just to add on that, I think grit is, you don't see that on the chart. So it's about, like, can you be your best when we need it the most? and being tough and resilient and all those things. So I think that's something that we're constantly striving to just keep improving at.
Coach, I want to ask you kind of a philosophical question as you look at, coaching. One of the things that you're blessed with at UCLA is having an amazing roster, lots of depth. And I want to ask you, how do you manage that in match in terms of maybe looking at making adjustments and everything? Do you kind of go in with a game plan of, hey, if X, Y, Z happens, we're going to do this? Or is it more kind of an in the field moment, how the match is playing out?
Yeah, I think each team is different in that sense. I think that it's about trusting these guys to work through situations and let them know that I believe in them. I think that's part of it. I think there's just other moments when you have to make a move to give a spark to your team, and when you have depth like we do, it's easy to go to that and trust those guys. And these guys work their butt off in the practice gym, and the guys that aren't necessarily starting these guys will credit them the most for helping their development. So our depth is celebrated in our gym and something that we really appreciate. So yeah, I do think it's kind of a guts feeling sometimes, but we do prepare for moments for the match that, in anything that happens. So yeah.
Matthew, Zach, this season, obviously, especially in the fall, a little bit different with, Spiros stepping down, Coach Hawks coming in. Can you just take us through what that moment was like for you all when you heard that Coach Hawks was going to be your coach, and what you've enjoyed most about playing under Coach Hawks?
Hawks recruited me during the recruiting process, so it was pretty awesome, full circle moment there. But obviously it's tough to, fill Spiros' shoes. It's a great coach, but I think he's done an amazing job coming in here and bringing kind of a different outlook on things. Spiros was super analytical, and now we're kind of just working hard, communicating, and giving the utmost 110% effort, and it's helped us tremendously, just giving us more grit, everybody being more just able to adapt.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. He recruited almost all of us, and so in terms of that relationship part of getting a new coach, it was already there. We already had a good relationship, and it's been, like Rama said, it's different, but he really teaches us how to play hard with grit and through all the adversity, and so it's been really good, and I think all the guys are happy about it. So.
And then, Coach, for you, you've been a head coach before, successful at Loyola, taking over UCLA though. Every coaching job's a different experience. What's been something you've learned about yourself or your team during the season?
Yeah, this year's been challenging. I think it started with just not having my family here. We were selling our home in Chicago, so coming here and doing this without their support and the hug from my wife and my kids, that was tough. And I opened up these guys during the year and kind of leaned on them and leaned on the staff. And I think that the thing I learned the most probably about myself is that I don't always have to be the voice. I can let Nick Vogel is crushing it. Brandon Talaferro crushing it. Lindsay's, she's had a difficult time as I have. So I think that transition for all of us has been really fun and tough at times. And, Gavin, my sports administrator, has helped me tremendously get through things. So I think I always come back to love, and these guys are my family, and I love these guys. And if we can love each other, and that's the first thing about trust and how do we compete for each other on the court and play for the guy next to you and not play for your own individual stats and all those other things. If we can play selfless like that, that's really what I think is the key piece to winning. And so I've learned how to really just allow the coaches let them coach and let them do what they do really well. And so for me it's been a little bit different, but I'm enjoying every second of it.
Coach, this would be chalked up to an awkward transition after that movie that movie question, but do you want to ask, playing Hawaii, first time you all have played them since 2023 in the NCAA finals, and it's complex with scheduling beyond belief. It's not easy, but is there part of you that's hoping to get Hawaii maybe back on the schedule in upcoming years?
They are on their schedule next year, so we're going there and for the Outrigger. So we're pumped. It's something that I think Hawaii and UCLA should be on the schedule every single year. And yeah, for some reasons or another, it doesn't work out, but this year or next year it's going to, and this year we're going to see him tomorrow. So fired up.
All right, now you get a couple off the wall questions because it is media day. So are you ready?
Okay.
All right. First, Matthew, we'll go with you. Which of the middles would make the best libero?
It would definitely not be. First of all, it would definitely not be Cam. Just there's no ball control. Probably Eddie.
Yeah.
Edwards. He plays beach all summer, and like in between drills and practices the whole year, he's like passing serve receive balls, and he's diming it honestly better than me. So I would say Eddie would be. He's not really good at defense, but that's okay. He has a good platform, and I think he'd be a good libero.
And Zach, I want to ask you, if your team were to do a equivalent of a slam dunk contest, but with serving, coming up with the most creative serve, who do you think would win?
I'll definitely have to say me, no bias, but if I could choose myself, I'd say David Decker. He's got a crazy dunk package, and that kid's a freak of an athlete. So.
And now for all of you, if you have a ball out of system, you have to pick one person in the history of volleyball to get a kill. Who are you going with?
The history of volleyball. Okay, I was going to say Matt Chun, but let me think.
Not sure.
Oh my gosh.
Jalen Jasper.
Paul Neapoli?
Yeah, I would say Jalen Jasper. That's probably the toughest player I've ever had to personally play against on the court. So, probably my answer.
I mean, probably Alex Knight. I don't know.
All right. And just two more. I know you all are in LA, you're by Disneyland. If you've been to Disneyland, what's the best part of the park?
I like Tomorrowland.
I haven't been in like 12 years, so I'm not. But
I mean, there's a lot of good things about Disneyland. There's the food, there's the turkey legs, there's the Dole Whip, the Pirates of the Caribbean since I was little. But, I mean, it doesn't matter how long the line is. I think Space Mountain is probably the best part of Disneyland.
All right. And then this is the final question. This is the most hard-hitting one. Serving sub coming in, you got to choose between Joe and Josephia Bruin. Who are you picking?
Joe. It's got to be Joe. It's the OG. He's always at our games and stuff, giving high fives to the fans, supporting.
Yeah, he's watched a lot of volleyball. He's always at our games, so I trust him. 24, 25.
Jump spinning or is he floating?
Fifth set.
I prefer a float, but
Just get it in.